Hello. This is really funny because I wish I had
sit back.
the amount of shit that we piled up just so we could be here.
You might have to take a photo of this after.
How? That's my phone.
I don't know.
It's
Evelyn's phone.
Yes. Go on then. Go and get it.
No.
Do it now. No. Okay.
No.
Fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
We haven't done Coffee with Katie and Luke since 2 weeks ago.
I know. Is it 2 weeks already?
I think so.
Is it?
I don't think we did it last week.
Oh God. No, we didn't. No, you're right. Because I had other things.
Today's topic.
The art of integrity. The art of integrity.
Wasn't dramatic at all, was it?
No. So why did we come up with this topic, Luke? I think we're both on a similar journey at the moment, aren't we? To do with self-expression and
authenticity was another word we'd used.
Mm.
Before that though, what are you drinking?
I've got a half calf today, the original.
Oh, I have a decaf latte.
Yeah, he didn't even trust me to make it. He brought his
Iced.
own. I have ice, you know. Other people have these things.
Yours would have been better. This just tastes like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's not. It's okay.
There we go. You should have just trusted me. But fine, we won't get resentful or anything. Glad nobody's watching at the moment.
So far it's shit.
Who are you again? Right, so art of integrity and authenticity. Yeah, those are the words that are coming up for us at the moment, aren't they? Because we're both on a sort of journey of finding ourselves and our way of expressing ourselves. And
yeah, you're specifically on a journey of finding the self. That's been your whole new Substack journey.
It is. Over on Substack.
Is that what they do?
I don't know. I have a 10-year-old daughter and that's what she does.
Oh.
I don't know. It's the coffee. I'll just be quiet. You carry on talking. You run this one.
Okay. And for me, integrity has always been like a massive core value.
Mm.
And I really, it's possibly my biggest gripe in the world.
Okay.
Is people that I perceive to not have integrity.
So what does integrity mean to you? I think maybe that's a good place to start.
Well, sometimes when you look up the definition of integrity, it's like doing the right thing even when no one's looking. That, yes, I get. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's more than that. I think integrity is about doing what you believe and not doing things because you should, because it's societal norm, because everybody else is, you know, but how can you be more authentic? Integrity and authenticity are very similar to me. And it's like one of the things when I was in the workplace that really used to irritate me was that people would bitch and moan about things, but then they would never want to take any action to do anything about it. And then if they were ever questioned about it, they'd be like, oh, no, that's fine. And for me, that's a lack of integrity.
I can totally see that. I think also it's easy to get sucked into that sort of the bonding that can happen around those sorts of the gossip and the everything's a problem. You kind of become, I mean, trauma bonding means something else, but it's that kind of thing. We're all bonded around this misery that we're in, and it's quite addictive. I think you can start to identify with it, can't you? But you're right. It's not a nice thing to do, and it's not positive energy.
It's not. I don't mind gossip though.
Yeah.
I'm a gay man. Come on. Right, but what I don't like is gossip and then no action. Don't complain about something and then not take action. For me, that's a lack of integrity.
Okay.
Complain about something and then keep doing it. That's a lack of integrity.
Okay. So, yeah, you've touched there on what I would say my definition of integrity is, which is having your thoughts, your feelings and your actions all aligned.
Oh, yeah, that's much better.
So you kind of you think something, you feel it, and then you act in accordance with that thing is what I would, for me, that's how I try and sort of, if I feel that one of those things is off, I'm not acting with integrity. I'm doing it for some other reason, which is to please someone, or because I feel I should, which is probably also to please someone, or because it's expected, but it's not what I want. That's really hard though, isn't it? Sometimes.
I think fear often creates a lack of integrity. I think about employment. most people, so miserable in employment, but then still continue to do it every day and moan about it. But the fear keeps them there. I can't move on. I'm not good enough. I can't afford to. I can't take the risk, whatever. So I think fear has a lot to do with integrity.
Do you think maybe even fear stops people knowing what integrity feels like to them? Maybe out of fear of change or the risks associated with really tuning into themselves, it actually...
Fear of vulnerability.
Yeah, maybe. It's very true, isn't it? Yeah, the older I get and the more life throws at me, the more I cannot be any other way now. I can't, and this is probably where we're getting into the idea of art of it, like I can't not be that person. And I notice really strongly now when my integrity is being pushed or called into question, or I'm being asked to do something that's not in alignment with it. I can't.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Do you know anything that's getting me lately?
What's that?
You've been to Aldi lately?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know how they check your bags before you can pack your shopping? Because they make the automatic assumption that you're a criminal before you're allowed to shop there. Right? That really fucking irritates me. And I think I don't want to have it assumed that I'm a criminal. But more than that, I understand that you, as the cashier, don't want to ask me. I can see the discomfort in them asking. And then, sometimes I'm polite and sometimes I'm feeling a bit sassy. And I'll be like, no, I'm not a criminal. It's okay. And sorry, I have to ask. It's my job. Or it's policy. This is the thing that really gets me. It's policy. And I hate when people hide behind policy to take action that's not kind. And so for me, if I were in that position, but I'm a bit feistier than most people, I would refuse to ask that question to a customer. Or I would then, if it really came to that extreme, I wouldn't work there anymore. I would find another job.
That's big though. What if that is your place? Like you don't feel you could go anywhere else? That's where you feel you're known. I mean, actually, you talk about Aldi. I've chatted with some of the staff in there. They're all quite nice actually, and a lot of them have been there a long time because obviously they treat you well and they pay well. So would you? I'm going to challenge you on that. Would you leave if you had to do something that wasn't?
In every job that I've left, it's because they've compromised my integrity.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and so for me, it's a really strong thing that's important to me. It's not always important to other people. I'm not saying everyone's like me. Definitely not. But for me, it's something that's so strong and important that I, like you said, I don't know how to live any other way. If anything comes up and questions my integrity, I back away.
It's true. Actually, it's a very good point. I haven't had many employed jobs. I've had a few, and I can think of one from a while back where, I was starting to go down a path I didn't like. Actually, I couldn't be myself, and we were being micromanaged and really tightly watched, and it was all very unpleasant.
Yeah, it's a familiar story.
And I couldn't stay there anymore. Actually, so is that integrity? I suppose because it wasn't in alignment with my values, and I wouldn't be trusted.
It's not in alignment with my values. I like that.
Yeah, and I guess and also there's something about being seen in that as well. So you're not being trusted. Nobody's seen. Oh well, she can be trusted to use her intelligence and get on with that. Do it her way. And like you can be trusted to get on and make the best decisions. So
I'm not a person to micromanage.
Well, no. God, I would want to.
I'll eat them alive.
God, looks scary. So I don't know where I've just got to. I've hit a wall. What's next?
No, you're right. I think that's the reason that I've had a very similar experience in employment. I had one particular. I got thumbs down. Oh God, this keeps happening. People keep thumbs down in me.
Oh no!
You can just unfollow me. You don't have to watch.
What happened? What did we say?
No, maybe it was someone I used to work with.
Oh, okay.
I worked in one particular place where I had a really amazing manager that gave me freedom and trusted me, and we created wonderful things together and understood the dynamic that made us both work best together. And then that manager changed and I got a very micromanaging manager, And for me, I was like, oh, if I can't operate in the way that is right for me to operate, then I can't work here.
Do you know what's interesting about what you've just said? In that first example, you created, which then made me think about art again. So is it is it space to be creative, to take ownership, to make something your own, that allows your integrity to be honoured and to flourish? And, you know, the micromanaging has many problems with that, but one of them is...
Some people might really respond to micromanaging.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah, I was asking about you, though. Was that what it is? It helps you stay in alignment with your integrity if you can be creative in a role and have some autonomy.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you a funny thing about autonomy?
Go on then.
Many years ago, I went to an interview for a job that I was way underqualified for. I don't even know why I got an interview. And they asked me a question about autonomy, and I went, I couldn't think what the word autonomy meant. Said, can you rephrase it?
Oh, no, that was quick thinking.
I was like, no, I know, I didn't get that job.
Can you rephrase the question, so I can use smaller words, please?
Can you dumb it down? I must have been in my early 20s, so that's a long time. Okay.
That is it is quite a business jargon, isn't it? Autonomy. Autonomy. I mean, I'm going to try saying that to my children later and see if they know what it means. They surprise me sometimes with what they know. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so autonomy for you is part of your integrity, I suppose. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I think so. Being given the freedom to create something, I think, is really important. Everybody needs ownership, is another way of saying it, isn't it? Of their own work. I think I would feel stifled if I didn't have that autonomy and ownership to make a job using my skills and otherwise why hire somebody, you know, and have a robot do it instead? You want a person for a reason to let them
I think it
use
depends.
their skills.
You know, it's finding the place that you fit in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you fit there and people get you and they want your skills, then integrity would never be a question. But if you have to go into somewhere and fit into what they want, that's when integrity becomes a question.
That's a very good point. So when I used to work in marketing, I wasn't really very happy because there's a lot of stuff I loved. I love all the writing and the creativity. So actually I did have creativity in that role, but it was within certain constraints, like be creative in 300 words by tomorrow lunchtime, you know, and this sort of...
stifles the creativity.
Yeah. And it was great for a while, but there came a point where it takes a lot of energy to keep doing that. It's a lot of hard work. So... yeah, it's the right place. But then again, for someone like me, there is no single place. I need lots of fingers and lots of pies doing lots. Are you the same?
Exactly the same, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got yoga, you've got the studio, you've got your writing projects you're doing.
I've got all sorts of stuff, yeah. And another list as long as my arm, you know, in my back pocket that I'm waiting to pull out. Yeah,
you talked about one the other day, didn't you? Doing some training.
Oh yeah, I was talking about that today actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've got comments.
Oh, I've got comments. Oh, hi Lisa, spot on, yes, fear. Yes, not nice to check the bags thing. Yeah, okay, so it's not just us. Oh, okay. You know,
this isn't, I just want to clarify, I'm not saying that the people in Audi that check my bags are bad people. I'm just saying that, you know, it's the policy to check the bag, so they're doing what they believe is right via policy, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the friction with integrity.
Oh, we come back on.
What was that?
Maybe it was my internet. Are you on my internet?
Yeah, I'm on your Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay, probably my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so I think that's what it's about. It's like that. It's that disconnect between this is who I am as a person, this is who I'm being asked to be, and can I bridge that gap and feel comfortable with it, or do I need to burn that bridge?
That's really interesting because you've made me think now of, so something I really struggle with is belonging to like a collective identity. I've always struggled with, I'm always on the outside of things. That's where I prefer to be. I have my little posse of people, but I don't like, you know, how do I put it? So big businesses, for example, I struggle to get behind a brand to do work for a big company, that idea of collective identity, because the bigger the identity becomes, the more I feel lost in it. And
like it's not
my
about you.
personality and my integrity is questioned. So that's really interesting that you should say that, because I think that's also why I like to work on my little bits and bobs and stuff that I'm doing, because it's more in alignment with me as an individual.
It's more authentic.
Yeah, exactly, more authentic.
That's interesting about brand alignment, because when I worked for Marriott, like I used to joke that you could cut my arms off and I would bleed little lemons. Like I was totally ingrained in that brand.
Wow.
Like, and I lived it and I breathed it and I believed it.
That's fine. So, but what happened to cause that? What was it about? Do you remember what it was that you loved about it? Was it the people, or was it their values, or?
It had a very strong values base. And actually, having left the car, you know when you work somewhere and you think it's the worst place in the world, and then you leave and you look back and go, actually, it wasn't that bad. It was one of those. Like, actually, they really do have their shit together. And yes, there will be, senior people that do things in the wrong way at times, but ultimately, as a brand, I think it was really strong, and I really got behind it. And then I went to other companies where they just didn't have this strong brand identity, and I could never find my place.
But then it sounds like their values also were aligned to yours as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to do that. Because, I'm thinking, while you're talking, I'm thinking about, there's a big technology company I went to, we used to do some work for back in the day. Really very, very big technology company. And I went there for a business meeting, and the lady showed us around, and she said, oh, this is the canteen. The food is subsidised. It's so nice, I don't have to go home and cook. And then she went, yeah, and they've got showers. And there's a room over there you can have a sleep in if you get tired. I'm like, they don't want you to leave. Ever. You're never leaving.
Too comfortable.
You're never leaving. So, this big brand, big well-known name brand, their ethos seemed to be stay at work. Don't leave. Just keep working. What's the worst that could happen? It's really, really clever. And she didn't see it, and my heart kind of went out to her because she was living alone. And actually, that makes an awful lot of sense because she's spending less money on food, and there's people there she knows. And
so there is a borderline, isn't there, between branding or community culture and being institutionalized?
Yes. Yeah. She kind of was. And even that, I was in my 20s and I could still see that back then. I was like, this is scary. It's a bit dystopian, But, so, yeah, I don't know what I think. I guess it depends. I think it just depends on how the company's run and the company's values and whether they chime with you and allow your individuality. Is it a collection of individuals all working to their best and achieving a collective goal? Or is it a big monolithic thing where you're all like, bonk, stamp on the forehead, off you go?
I also think that from my perspective, when I worked for Marriott, before I'd, been doing any of this kind of thing, it's before I knew about myself. And I was very rules orientated because it was control based, and that was good for me to feel like I was in control.
Yeah, okay.
And I was in HR.
Yeah.
So I probably also really aligned with those things because it was a structure.
It's true. So it gave you something to hang your identity on at that time. Yeah. I think a lot of people do that with work, identify with their job. I mean, I think maybe we still do to a certain degree, but, I know people who have lost their jobs and then not known who they were anymore because that was their everything, their entire being. And I get it. You spend 8 hours a day in an office if you've got an employed job. So who are you then after that? Yeah. It's kind of a shaky place to be.
Well, and you're geared up in this whole world to believe that your career is your life. Interesting. So the other thing I want to ask about integrity.
Yep.
Is integrity about also being consistent, or can you change your mind with integrity?
Oh, it's a really good question.
Because integrity might say, well, I believe this one thing, so that's the way. If I always believe that thing and adhere to that thing, then I'm acting in integrity. But can you change your mind?
I would say absolutely you can change your mind. Of course you can change your mind. If you happen to always believe the same thing, well, then that's fine. Is that true, though? Most of us change our minds about stuff all the time. And I think acting with integrity is saying, I've changed my mind, actually. That takes tremendous integrity for somebody to go, I was wrong, or I've changed my mind, or I've thought about it, actually, and I think differently now. I think that's definitely acting with integrity.
So I think that this is where integrity and honesty go together.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that's about, because you could still be acting with integrity knowing that you're wrong. because it's within that belief that you've projected that you believe.
Oh, I'm confused. Say that again.
You could still be acting in integrity because you said, I believe this thing, so I'm going to act this way. But then within that, underneath that, you might change your mind. But you're not be able to be honest enough to say, I've changed my mind and I want to act in a different way. So then there's that kind of grey area of, okay, is integrity doing the thing that I've always said that I will do? Or is integrity going, oh, I'm sorry, I've changed my mind now, I have to put some honesty in here and vulnerability, and then acting in a different way?
I absolutely think you need the honesty, because otherwise you're just not acting with integrity. You're not being true to yourself, which
you're
is
pretending
kind of
to act with integrity.
Yes, which is really screwed up. Yeah, we don't want to pretend to act with integrity. Well, so I'm sure people do all the time.
I think so. I mean, and I think there's a lot of fakeness in the world, and you know, I can see straight through that, and I try not to be that person. But I think that, you know, a lot of the fakeness in the world, people believe they are acting with integrity because they're being consistent.
Yes, maybe.
But it might be a lack of self-awareness. I don't know.
It could be lack of self-awareness. But again, it comes back to fear as well, doesn't it? Oh, I can't possibly change my mind. What will people think?
Fear is a biggie around integrity. I know we kind of started that and we're coming full circle with that. And I think that that's a really big part of the puzzle as to why people don't act with integrity. We've got more comments on this.
Oh, have I? Oh, yeah. Lovely. Oh, hang on. Dunk. Lisa. Araya Manson, what do you do for a living? How we identify their job? And Sam. People change their levels of integrity all the time depending on their motives or goals.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Have you seen that in people changing their levels of I guess you see it in politicians, don't you?
But then it's not. Then is it integrity?
Was it ever integrity?
Was it ever integrity in the first place?
Question. Yeah. Do they even know what that looks like?
Unless your whole integrity game is that.
Integrity game.
Yeah.
Can you have that?
I don't know. that your goal is to only do stuff that's in your interest, then you're acting with integrity within that, I suppose. I don't know. It's got too complicated. It's like a pass the parcel with some wrapping layers.
I know. Oh, don't even. My head hurts. You reminded me of a story about pass the parcel. I'm not going to put it on a live. It's quite funny. I'll tell you later.
I feel like we got to the point where we don't know that they know that we know that they know.
I think we don't know what we know, to be honest. We have no idea what we're doing. Anyone else? Yeah, I was going to say something really insightful then, and now it's gone.
Sorry.
It's about integrity, surprisingly. I can't remember what it was. It was something really... oh, yes. Do you have to be brave to have integrity?
Oh, I think in this modern world, yes.
Yeah.
Because it means that you have to stand up, you have to say things, you have to push back, you have to challenge.
Yeah. I mean, because again, the fear, overcoming the fear suggests courage. So integrity and courage are interlinked.
Because if you didn't have integrity, you'd just be a yes person. And we all know yes people.
Yeah.
We've all been yes people.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah?
No.
yeah, but no. Also, Picker and Tippy, who used to go, no. Yes.
No, yeah. Oh, dear.
Yes, because I think, clearly, yes, people wouldn't be acting in integrity because what they would want to do is not what they're presenting and saying. But again, that all comes from fear, and self-worth is another thing.
Oh, self-worth. Oh, it's getting really thorny now, isn't it? Yes. So what it feels like we're building up to the point that for us, integrity is about having courage, being honest, and having a sense of your self-worth in order to live truly with integrity.
Do you think as you get older and you go through more stuff, integrity just becomes part of your nature?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. So I've read far too many self-help books, and the sort of consensus is when stuff happens to people, they can go one of two ways. So you can either become more more open and welcoming and understanding and compassionate, or you can go inward and I hate the world and everyone's out to get me and why did it happen to me? You start to identify with
so you go in the fear.
The misery. I suppose so. That is the fear. Yeah. So I think
you either get more ballsy or more fearsy.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you either you either live more in integrity which comes from compassion. So there's another element, compassion for others, understanding. Because if you're not frightened to be wrong, for example, and not frightened to change your mind in order to continue living with integrity, then that means you must have a strong enough sense of self, and you must have seen your own weaknesses in other people and have compassion. There's quite deep, actually, integrity, isn't it?
Probably why people don't do it. Too complicated, that. I'm not going to do it.
That's why there's one word for it and not a massive discussion like we've just had. Just call it integrity. It's fine. Forget it.
Umbrella term.
Yeah.
Umbrella term for decent human.
Decent human. Well, it kind of is, isn't it, really? I think it's one of my core values. It's one of the things I try to live by. I made a conscious effort. Because in my family, when I was growing up, you know, it was very common for, I mean, my mum, bless her, loved her to pieces, but she didn't always say what she thought, and I could see it in her face, which to me is not living with integrity. Her thoughts and her actions
didn't match.
They didn't match. That's conditioning, and that's how she was brought up, you know.
Well, I think a lot of people of that generation, because, you know, I talk about this often, but people that were born in the war or after the war, that baby boomer generation, were just raised in fear. Because their parents were literally fighting for their lives.
Well, yes, but also that old British stiff upper lip, and you know, we don't air our dirty laundry in public, and you know, all this sort of stuff was very. That was how it was. Nobody talked about feelings. There's no time for feelings, is there?
Got a mental health epidemic.
Well, yeah, you know, I think.
And that's why a lot of people talk about generational trauma now as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and how it can be passed, you know, genetically. Actually, the idea of trauma being passed down through your DNA, and
so integrity is genetic.
It's genetic. Gosh, we come from art to genetics. I thought we were talking about the art of integrity.
What does integrity in a day-to-day basis look like for you?
For me,
do you have examples of it
on a day-to-day basis? Saying what I think, trying to be kind, I suppose, and compassionate.
What about those moments where you really don't want to be kind to someone, but you're still kind to them? Is that being a yes person?
Well, I think I would choose my words carefully.
Something passive-aggressive, maybe?
No, it wouldn't be. The old me would have done. Yeah, made a really passive-aggressive
smart.
Oh, shush you. I'll tell you if you do it. I'll tell you off. No, I don't think it would be passive-aggressive. I would probably decide, is it worth saying something? Am I helping this situation or not? So, you know, I think also there's knowing what is your shit and what somebody else is living with integrity. Like, if I reply now and I say something, am I being snidey, and is it helping? Or do I just need to let them have their bad day? Just let them have their bad day. What does it matter to me? You know, I guess picking your battles and all that sort of stuff. I would say. I don't know, that's sort of how it shows up for me. Just assessing, am I helping or not? What about you? What would you say?
For me, I link it very heavily with honesty. So I don't pretend to be a perfect person by any means. And I have a lot of flaws, and I'm kind of owning them. You know,
I've done your shadow work.
Well, I don't even know if I'd call it that. I just know that I'm relatively self-aware through very many different life experiences. But I just think that if I'm having a bad day, then I'll just be an arsehole today. And
look out, everyone. The arsehole's about.
I'm not trying to be unkind. I'm just trying to be real. We can't try and be perfect all the time.
Okay.
You know, so it's not about being unkind. Sometimes I'm so overwhelmed that my face looks like I want to tell someone to F off. Inside, I'm trying to be polite, but outside I look like I'm really angry. And people can misconceive me because what my face is doing.
Okay.
And or sometimes I'm just in really deep thought and I'm not paying attention to my surroundings. And I used to get really upset about people judging me for that stuff. Or then I would try and overcompensate. And so I've just learned, you know, part of my integrity and my honesty is just to be like, I'm just having a human experience today.
Yeah,
and,
I love that. How are you having a human experience today?
I don't want to be like a kind of, I don't know, like peace and love person all the time.
Duracell bunny type.
Yeah, you know, and I know people expect that as part of my brand, but I'm just like, no, we have bad days. I'm a realist.
Well, there we go, and we've talked about this before, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
About being real.
Yeah, and I have good days, and so yes, I'm going to be up and really fun and kind and polite and understanding and respectful on good days, and on bad days, I'm probably going to be a bit of an arse.
I think that's great though that you've owned that, and you make me think that my next part of my work is to be okay with being an arse.
Yeah,
I think that I still don't want to be. I want to be a good girl. It's still, the conditioning is still in there. And so maybe I've got stage 1, which is don't be passive aggressive. don't let the misery leak out. Now stage 2 is, if you're having a shit day, go, do you know what? Having a shit day. Don't really want to talk to you. I think
that's
I need
a wonderful level of integrity, because for me, I don't like when people play games, when you don't know what you're getting, when what you're receiving isn't real. And I just want to, like, put it out on a plate. Like, I want to know, if you're in a shitty mood, fine, I'll avoid you.
Okay. I'll let you know next time.
Yeah. You know, or, you know, if you want to go out to play today, great, let's do that.
Yeah.
You know, because children, you only have to observe children.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't like someone, they just push them over. And how many times?
What are you suggesting?
How many times do I wish I could do that? Knock that poor person off their stool at Aldi for asking me if I'm a thief.
Wow. Violence is never the answer, Luke.
But why? No. But you know what I mean? That concept of children don't have a filter. They just express how they're feeling. That's integrity.
Are you willing to say on camera what your daughter said to somebody the other day? She went up to somebody and then said, "Go away."
Oh, I can't put it. Yeah, I think so. We were in the playground.
Yeah.
Oh no, she wasn't talking to a lady.
No, but the lady.
She went and stood next to a lady in the playground, looked at her, and said, "Go away." But what she was actually doing was talking to her sister, and this lady was like, "Oh, who are you?"
I just think that's the best story because you came here.
Yeah. But I do feel like, why don't we have those go away moments as adults? It's frowned upon. We get feedback if we. You know, you behave like a human. This is the thing.
I've lost it.
Always
feedback.
I worked in HR for 13 years. I'm familiar with feedback.
I'm going to give you some feedback.
Yeah, it's a
time.
shit sandwich. Do you remember those?
Yes.
Ugh.
Oh, they're awful. You knew it was coming, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh dear, that's really tickled me.
Yeah, it's like a classic British thing when you're going to bitch about someone. Oh, they're lovely, but.
Well, I just said it about my mum, bless her. I caught myself doing it. It's the guilt. Like, we feel guilty about seeing somebody's reality sometimes, do you think? Like their rough edges or their darknesses and stuff. Like, I feel guilty. It's my mother, for God's sake. She's not even here anymore.
Because we live in this stupid world. We're all trying to be perfect. And we're all trying to present as perfect. You think about, I'm going back to feedback.
Okay.
Like, in the employment world, you just get feedback after feedback, performance reviews, all of these things until you fit their mould.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, I don't understand why they can't just accept that we're all human beings and that we all have different skills. And okay, so Luke's grumpy on this day, then we're not going to ask him to do this thing on this day, but then he's in a really great mood that day. We'll get the best out of him, so we'll let him do it then.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you and I would respond to that, right?
Yeah.
We would respond to that kind of level of flexibility. But I suspect there would be people who would take advantage of that. So do you think it's about control? It's about minimising cost as well, like time and effort involved in managing multiple people, lots of different. I think we're going that way, though, don't you?
I do. I think that's how the workplace is going. Ultimate flexibility, because if you can measure people on productivity, not time spent at a desk or behaviour. Yeah. Unless it's obviously really ridiculous behaviour, of course, you need to manage that. But if you can measure people on productivity, then you'll get the best out of people. Productivity
or just achievement of targets or whatever.
Same thing, is it not?
I guess a bit productive. I feel like, efficiency. And
I think as long as you have agreed goals.
Yeah.
Of attitude.
Yeah, I mean that's true. And it's interesting because this morning I took my daughter around a school to look around a local school, kids. So for neurodivergent children in particular, they have a department where they can go and have 10 minutes at the start of the day, for example, or whenever they need to regulate their emotions, so then they can go back to studying again.
And I think this is why the world's changing, and the workplaces, because neurodivergence is now topical. People are starting to recognise it themselves. Adults are starting to get diagnosed. So behaviour or attitudes that might have been challenged before as being aggressive or not within the company values or whatever, people are now looking at those and going, well, actually, maybe they're neurodivergent. Maybe they've got some stuff going on at home that they haven't told us about because they don't feel safe or comfortable to bring it into the workplace. Maybe there's other stuff going on. We're starting to look at people more holistically in the workplace, and that's how it needs to work. It's always bothered me that you are supposed to walk into the workplace, and the moment that you step over the threshold, you're supposed to leave everything else at home. And I'm like, but you're a human at home, and you cross that threshold and you're still a human. You're not a robot.
Yeah.
So why are you not allowed to be human in the workplace?
That is such a good question. And do you have Apple TV?
No.
If you haven't seen, there's a show called Severance, which talks about exactly this kind of thing, but in a slightly sci-fi way. It's fascinating because, well, I won't spoil it if you go and watch Severance. I've just finished it last night and I'm like, it's so good. Season 1. Season 2 is coming out in January.
I might watch it on my weekend.
It's really, really good. Do it. But yeah, exactly. We can't leave ourselves behind because otherwise who are we?
Historically, and I'm guilty of this in a HR position, I've been managing people on this stuff for years. You need to, be more consistent, be more this, be more that. And I'm like, well, actually, you could be more human and respond to my humanity, and we could get the best out of each other.
That's very interesting because in my line of work is very much, my coaching is not telling you what to do at all. It's the least directive kind of coaching there is. It's with somebody in a room and you say, well, what do you think? And actually, when you hand the floor over to you and I are the same, because everybody's the same. You give people the time and the space and they know what they want for themselves. You trust them. That's
the word. I was just about to use that word and you used it. Right? Trust. That's the thing, is that there's never been trust that I've observed in workplaces. That's one of the reasons actually why I liked Marriott was because one of their things was, I can't remember how they worded it, but effectively, if a customer came to you with a complaint, they're like, you handle it. In whatever way that you feel fit. You have it. We trust you. We give you the authority to handle that complaint yourself.
Great.
So the customer doesn't have to go to this person, to the supervisor, to the manager, up the chain, to the head office. You resolve it. They're then in front of you. They have one port of call, and we trust you to make a decision that's right, whether that's a free cup of coffee or a free night stay in the hotel or whatever. We're not going to judge what you give them. We're going to trust that you're going to look after them.
And that solves the problem, so you've helped the customer in whatever way you've decided is best, but also gives you autonomy again, and sort of an idea. You feel like you've got some ownership over your job, which increases your, alliance to the company and your investment. The risk is if you don't do that with people, they're just completely disengaged, aren't they? You just that's how you disengage from a workplace. You feel like you've got no power. No power.
Yeah. And how many times do you have a customer service experience where you say, you have a valid point, the person in front of you agrees with you, but then they go, oh, but it's policy.
Oh, policy! Yeah, policy. Policy just is.
Oh, I fucking hate policy.
There's no humanity, is there? There's no flexibility. No.
I once did a TED Talk pitch about that.
Did you?
Yeah.
A pitch to do a TED Talk. Yeah. You'd be so good.
Thanks. Well, if you're watching TED Talk selectors,
TED,
pick me next time.
It's not actually something called TED, is it?
Well, it's TEDx.
Technology
and I don't know.
I can't remember what TED stands for.
But it was all about that. It was all about flexibility in the workplace, and I linked it with yoga, like the flexibility thing. It was quite good. But that has always been my observation, having been the keeper of policies for so many years. I was like, that's bullshit, because they don't allow for humanity.
Yeah.
Don't allow for so there's no integrity in them, in my view.
No.
Because you're not allowing people to be their honest and true selves.
Very true. And then you've said the word integrity so many times. We've said it so many times. When you say a word too many times, it stops having its original meaning. I'm now thinking about integrated integrity. Is it some sort of same idea, like you're integrating all parts of yourself or something?
I love the way that you described it, which I've already forgotten. which was your
Head,
thoughts and your
thoughts.
actions
And your thoughts, feelings and actions aligned.
Yeah, and that would be integration.
Yeah, integration of all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Acting as one whole, unique, complete thing.
We can break into to make it, and you can make me whole again.
You can make yourself whole again.
That's the second time that song's been in my head today.
Really?
I don't know where that came from.
That is an old song as well. I remember listening to that when I was living abroad, which was 2000. So that's a long time ago, Luke.
Don't want to make you feel old. I was still at school then.
only a few years behind me, for goodness sake. Not that many.
All right. Wow. There you go. The
That was
life
us.
of integrity.
What do you think, as always? Thank you for everybody who has shared their comments today. Add more. Tell us what you think. What does integrity mean to you? Is it important to you?
Can it make you whole again?
Can it make you whole again?
We need a theme like outro with Red Caricatona.
I'm not doing any singing, thank you very much. Not today. Anyway, I need another coffee.
Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.